Welcome everybody to my show, Gangster in the Kitchen. Today's show we're gonna do a steak dinner with a little twist. Listen everyone, you don't need a fancy chef's hat. You don't need a weirdo apron to be a good chef in the kitchen. All you really need is a little bit of creativity, a little bit of know-how, and a little bit of some kitchen skills, and even you could be a gangster in the kitchen. Now, since we got that out of the way, what we're gonna do now is our steak dinner. Basically, today what I'm using is some fajita steaks and a bread pudding. These are the ingredients for both of those things. Alright, what I'm going to start right now is how to make my savory bread pudding. Alright, we use 2 cups of cheese. Basically it's 3, but you know, we got 2 cups Gruyere, Manchego over here. We have the seasonings plus the Parmesan cheese on this side over here. We have the 6 eggs. Almost dropped it. It happens. Not all the time, but it happens. Don't worry about it. What we're using is the 6 eggs, the cup of cream, and the cup of milk over here blended. Alright, this is where it gets interesting. I use a whole loaf of challah bread. You can use any type of bread. I'm using challah. What you're going to need is 4 to 6 cups of bread. Alright, I know it sounds like it's a lot, but there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either do them in muffin tins to do individuals, or you can do one big loaf and cut them into squares. Alright, a nice tip, if you want a better result, make sure the bread was out the day before, nice and dry, for it could soak up the most of the liquid and the seasonings. Alright, so let's begin with the bread pudding. Alright, I'm gonna add the Parmesan with all the seasonings first. You know, you could add this to your liquid. It will save you some trouble. I just wanted to show you guys some steps. Alright, we're going to add the liquid. Oh yes, it's so nice. Yes, oh yes. Or like the late Paul Burr would say, it's my Undertaker. This part you're going to use your hands. Clean hands. You're going to squish it. Squish it. Make sure it gets everything. Squish it. Squish it. You know, you don't really need to use your hands. You could use a potato masher. But that's how I roll. Alright, now I'm going to add the cheese and fold the cheese in. Okay, we're going to leave that there for at least 30 minutes to soak in all the ingredients, and then we'll get to baking. Basically, after it rests for 30 minutes, I put it in a casserole pan. This is like a 4x4 pan. Put a couple pats of butter. Folks, remember, bread pudding isn't only a sweet thing. You can also make it savory, or both, savory and sweet. Alright? Now, always remember to preheat your oven 350. You're going to bake this bread pudding, this savory bread pudding, for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Alright? At 350. You don't need to cover it. You don't need to put it in a water bath. You don't need to do none of that. It'll do everything what it needs to do on its own. Alright. Now we're gonna get with the steak version of this dish. Note to yourself, on the original recipe for this dish, I used broccoli raw. Today, I'm using kale. When you go to my website, you're gonna see it's gonna say broccoli raw. I'm using today kale. Alright? Feel free to change the recipe however you want. It's out there for you to do whatever you want with it. And I hope you enjoy it. Now let's get to the steak. Before I start sauteing the steak, I breaded it with a little bit of cornstarch because I want that little crunchiness to it. Alright, on a medium size heat, make sure it's hot. We're going to start sauteing the strip steaks. That's what you want. Be careful to do just that. I just burned myself a little bit. It happens, but just be careful. Don't throw it like that. You'll splash yourself. Alright, we're going to saute all of these strip steaks first, and then we'll continue with the dish. Now, when you already have them nicely crunchy, or sauteed really well, you're going to take them out. Look how beautiful these steaks came out. Nice and crunchy. That's what I wanted. That happens when you use cornstarch. If you don't have any cornstarch, use some flour. Alright, we're going to start sauteing some onions, bell peppers, and garlic. Alright, just like a normal fajita mix. Away from you. You won't burn yourself. Let that start sauteing. Alright, now, I'm not going to use all of this kale, but I am going to use at least 2 cups of it, or 1. Most likely it's going to be 1, which means it's going to be about that much. Put this away. I'm going to chop it up and not use this wooden stem, so I'm going to start ripping it. This is going to be like a cross of an Asian dish meets Mexican. Nice little bushel. I'm gonna run my knife to it. Without messing up my fingers. Now, I don't want my garlic to burn. So, at this point, we're going to add some salt and pepper to taste. It may seem a lot of salt, but we're going to add more stuff to it. So it'll balance out. Now we're going to add our kale. Let that work its way in. Ooh, you should smell it in here. Smells really good. If I do say so myself. Alright, now I'm going to add about quarter cup of red wine vinegar. I think I went over a couple dashes, but I like the taste of it. We're gonna let all that kale wilt down a bit. Now I'm gonna add the bouillon cubes with a little bit of water. And let that saute a bit before I add the steaks. Okay, why I use kale? Well, that's the closest thing I could use to use broccoli raw. My other choice was broccoli. My kids don't like broccoli. So there's the only other alternative just for today's purposes. Alright, now that you see that it's wilted down and basically the onions are translucent, we're going to add our steak back in and let that simmer for another 30 minutes. Let that all go nice together for another 30 minutes on medium heat. And then we'll be plating, and I'll show you how it looks with the bread pudding. Alright, here's the finished product on our savory bread pudding. Notice how it's nice and golden brown, it's cheesy. Let me fix a plate for you can see the final product to this. Let's see. Oh yeah. Look at that. Cheesy goodness. Alright. I'm gonna add I'm gonna center this. Alright, check it out, cheesy goodness, the steak. This is my version. I hope you like it. I hope you try it out. Check out my blog at blogspot.com, the Gangsta in the Kitchen, blogspot.com. Check me out on Twitter at cookinglife14. Always remember my 3 simple rules. Keep it simple, keep it interesting, and keep it from the heart, and even you could be a gangster in the kitchen. Deuces.